This is the Sailing World on Water Weekly News for July 10, 2020. This week it's an Amoka 60 week as Louay Abib of the RORC talks to Jason Carrington on Hugo Boss 7, Alec Thompson's new boat for the Vendée Globe, which starts in November. Jason is the boat builder and he tells how it was done. This week saw the start of the Vendée Arctique, which left La Sable d'Olonne, went to Iceland and then back to La Sable d'Olonne via the Canaries. And Chiral, Jeremy Boyo, leads the fleet at the moment. We have a preview of the Vendée Globe, which starts on November 8, 2020. We're looking forward to that. E-sailing is big business now, and in the last Vendée Globe in 2016, over 450,000 people signed up to sail the race. Matt Johnson from Australia, from Western Australia, won it. Now let's go and talk to Jason and see how he built Hugo Boss 7.
Hugo Boss 7, the Amoka 60. It's not the first boat you built for Alex Thompson, though, is it? 2007, I think you go back with Alex.
Yeah, that's right. We did a Pheno boat for Alex with Neville Hutton in Lymington, which then was quite a pioneering boat. Had the one with the two coach roofs. It's a nice boat. Yeah, so we didn't. I think then he had some second-hand boats, and then obviously the Hugo Boss 6, which was built at Green Marine, and then this one, Hugo Boss HB7 as we call it.
Yeah. And this is the bow of the boat. It's not fair to call it Rad-S. It's a totally different designer. But talking of different designers, VPLP. In our chat, you call them Le Grand Fromage.
Yeah, I'll get in trouble for that, but that's what we call Vincent.
What's it been like working with the designers of 20 winning Route de Rhum boats?
Yeah, it was a great opportunity for us, and it was wonderful. And we have the project manager for working with Carrington Boats here. Tara is French, and she was great mates with Danny, who's a big part of VPLP, and Quentin. So it was quite a social gathering. They probably came more than they needed to have lunch and a few beers. But it was a great experience. The whole thing was fun, and the boat was, with Alex and that sponsor, you get to do something pretty special. You can't really tell there, but the whole boat is lacquered, clear carbon, everything, the bowsprit, the whole thing, all the way around. So she was a beautiful boat, and just a really fun project, and the team, Alex's team played a big part in that. Pete Hobson and of course Gurrit, the structural engineers. So it was a great sort of team effort, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd love to work with those guys again for sure. It was really fun, and they as I say, they came. We'd always put the French flag out when they'd come, and we had a lot of fun with them.
Okay. And obviously going on to great things this year. But, look at this. I mean, this is a piece of art, Jason, isn't it?
Yeah, it was funny. It's not unlike Ran, is it? And I know the VPLP guys did joke that they'd seen Ran and kind of took that bevel a bit from Ran. So, it was almost, pushed even further. And I like that about Alex. He has an idea and he goes for it. And I like that the coach roof was, everything was. It all looks right. It makes it fun, it's cool. And then you can suggest stuff. They're open-minded. It's good, really good.
Mm. But I think, you told me, with modern CAD design, with milling techniques, you can make these exotic hull shapes, but you can also make exotic structures for the cockpit, etc. It can be any shape these days, can't it?
Yeah, it can. And there's a lot you can do by hand for sure, but it just speeds that process up. So you can do all sorts of cool shapes and things you probably wouldn't consider doing if you had to do it by hand. Just the time, these are all carbon molds. This Hugo Boss was a split carbon mold. We built the bevel you can see there as part of the hull. To define the hull to deck, so the hull to deck join was up on the deck. It was a pretty racy build, I'd say, this one for sure. And they're very complicated boats. I mean, even before you put everything down below, they're extremely complicated, especially around the foil structure. Just takes months to build it. Yeah.
And tell me, when you finally got that hull and you put it into the autoclave, do you sleep well that night, Jason?
Well, fortunately, we don't have a clave that big, so we clave some of the parts. But you're right; they go into big ovens, and no, you don't really. You worry about it like crazy, because any composite boat builder will tell you it's nothing's for sure. It's even when you do everything right, and we have very tight processes, but one little thing can trip you up. Whether it's something you change just slightly how you cook it. And there's I mean, the outer skin is not the real tricky one. Is the inside skins, where you've got honeycomb core and getting the air out and getting those cooks right and the dwell, and whether you use a spiking process or sealing the cells first. But it's not easy, and no, I don't sleep very well. And we always have we never leave the boat. There's always somebody there watching it all the way through, and we watch it until it's gelled and then through until it's fully cooked. We have a lot, we have a lot of cooks for a boat like this, the hull, deck, all the structure. Yeah.
Right. Well, lovely shot of Hugo Boss. Thank you to Alex Thompson Racing for all these pictures. I'm going to take you back to December this year. The TJV, December 2019, 25 knots into a brick wall, and virtually took the keel off the boat. They hit something in the water, Jason, with Alex and also Neil McDonald on board. How on earth did you manage, as a team, to repair the boat and find the time, slot it in? How on earth does that work?
Well, I guess, firstly, we definitely want to look after our clients, and Alex is a great client historically, and he's a friend. And Neil, of course, I go back years with Neil. But to be brutally honest, we were well into Ben's second boat when that happened. So we actually didn't take on we didn't do the repair work, if you like. That was done by Pro Composites, sort of led by Ryan Taylor and Leo Bryan, who did a fantastic job just next door to us. We rented another build box for them. So we made all the parts, and there were a lot of parts to make, all the new composite bits, and it was literally was next door. So we'd make the parts, take them down, and we were certainly involved and there throughout, but it was really those guys that put it all back together, and they did a fantastic job. I mean, you wouldn't, to be honest, when it was all done, you'd really struggle to see that it was a repair. It was very good, and again, Gurit did a fantastic job of not easy to patch all that in and do all those scarfing and all the rest of it. It was a big job and very well done. Yeah.
Jason, I mean, Hugo Boss has got to be one of the fancy boats for the Vendée Globe, but they're not taking part in the Vendée Arctique. In 8 days' time, they go off. But your sister ship, Charal, another VPLP, is. Are you going to be watching that?
Oh, I think for sure we'll watch it. It's always. I mean, I love. I follow those events anyway. I'm very interested. And of course, it'll be good to see how Charal go. I mean, they're although they're this is from the same design house. There's still quite big differences. And I think the foils, particularly on all the boats, there are differences there which make boats stronger or weaker in certain areas, but for sure we'll watch it. And Charal is pretty close to Alex's boat. Yeah, we'll certainly be watching.
Okay. And let's bring this one up. I'll take that down now, because I by the way, I'm really good at predicting like Fastnet wins and everything else, but when it comes to like Volvos, I'm hopeless. So I'm not going to say anything at all about.
I'm not much better.
I
remember winning the import race on Ericsson 1, and I can't remember. I think were we in Sanchenko? I can't remember. We won that inshore race, and ABN were last, and we came. Neil and I were walking up the dock, feeling like we'd won the race, like it was all over. and ABN were just coming in, and Neil prodded me, and he said, shut up. Of course, we were regretting that. My God.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna jinx it at all. But the last two Vendays, Alex has come second and third, and if it hadn't been for a bust foil, would have probably won the last one. So he's got to be in with a shout if the boat doesn't get damaged and and the boat performs for sure.
Yeah.
Moving on, here we have a shot of Alex in this enclosed cockpit. What can you tell us about this radical design of the enclosed cockpit?
Well, I can't. I don't think I can tell you much. But I think obviously it was Alex's. Alex was pretty committed to this idea early on, and I think we were all, again, when one of those early meetings around this table actually with the Grand Fromage and everybody else. I think we all thought, wow, that's pretty wacky. How's that going to work? But I don't know. I think we just got more and more sold by it, really. And I know one evening, one afternoon, Alex phoned me and said, did I want to go for a sail on HB6? And it was like a 30-knot northerly or something. And I went. Of course, I went, and I was staggered at how how aggressive these boats are, and just living on the boats. Just moving around the boats, and that was pretty flat water, and the thing's underwater a lot of the time, and I thought, God, he's got it right. I think what would you do outside? You can't see anything. There's not, so I think personally, I think it was a good idea, and I do think you'll see boats going in this direction. And there've been quite a few refits of boats already, new boats, and it's quite hard to go the full hog to do what Alex has done if you didn't do it initially. Like, just to get all these lines down below is a massive amount of work, which again, that was driven by their team and Pete and so on. It's not easy. So to do it retrospectively, I'd say it's not really possible. So, but they've gone halfway house. You have seen more enclosures, and I think you're going to see more of it.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. And let's face it. You touched on it there when you went out for a training session with Alex. I mean, he's in danger. There's no doubt. Racing around the world at that speed, for 80 days or 70 days or whatever it's going to take. Does for you and your team at Carrington Boats, does that prey on your conscience?
Yeah, it does. It's for sure the thing that you asked me about sleepless nights. I mean, that worries me more than anything. It's in the old days, in some ways, when you build the boat and then you go on and you sail it, you're there, so you understand the boat. You can be part of the fix or part of the decision to maybe slow down or look after the boat or whatever. But you're there, and if you can deal with it, I just feel I worry like crazy about Alex, on that boat, and I try to let the guys and the girls know here, that it's something a mistake that we make could have a terrible impact on Alex, his race and himself, so it's a big thing. And the boats are so, they are so extreme now, these boats. It's incredible. And they're pretty pared down, they're light structures for what they're doing. I mean, they are incredibly strong, but they're still, you can break them. And just so, and it's this composite boat building, you tend to, these are mocha boats, and even more so the cup. It's the information is very hand to mouth. It's not like you get a bunch of drawings 3 months before you start and you digest it and do all the work instruction sheets. It's happening pretty much daily. So it's challenging, to get the right information out there and then to make sure the guys understand it and put the right laminate on and cook it properly and all the rest of it. So yeah, it really does. It worries me quite a bit. Yeah.
C'est un bon départ, c'est un bon départ, il n'y a pas de pénalité. Bon départ et bonne course à tout le monde, merci.
Sur l'abandon d'Armel Tripon sur l'Occitane, effectivement, on a quelques précisions. Il semblerait que ce soit un problème de délaminage derrière la rupture qu'il avait déjà eue précédemment et qu'il avait pu réparer à la Trinité avant de partir. A priori, ce sont des renforts, des lisses qui n'ont pas eu le temps d'être posées, qui seraient peut-être à l'origine de ce délaminage sur la partie un peu plus en arrière de l'étrave du bateau. Donc c'est un problème important, cela dit. Les conditions météo sur zone sont clémentes en ce moment, mais c'était un risque trop sévère de le faire monter sur le point UNESCO, sachant qu'une troisième dépression aurait pu, à un moment ou l'autre, le toucher. Donc on a préféré, par sécurité, l'inciter à un demi-tour pour réparer dans un port breton qui sans doute sera la Trinité.
C'est un peu le champ de bosse en ce moment, mais ça va vite. On va arriver dans le dur de la dépression et de la mer un petit peu dure. Entre les Scilly et l'Irlande. Voilà, donc on aura un virement dans la nuit, dans la soirée. Il y a les trois énervés derrière qui vont vite aussi.
Salut à bord de Charal, on profite du beau temps pour faire une petite inspection du bateau. Après 2 jours de course un peu mouvementée, on va prendre une dépression bien violente sur la figure là cette nuit. Donc voilà, là il fait beau, on en profite. Le bateau va bien, le skipper s'est un peu reposé. On fait un petit tour d'horizon. Allez!
dans les têtes.
I do wonder why I do it sometimes.
J'espère que le bateau va rester à l'endroit.
Yann de Safran, là c'est Marco là, qui me reçoit.
J'y suis depuis 5h du matin, il est 16h. Donc faut jamais baisser les bras. Jamais.
Bah j'arrive, attendez.
Well, we're at the end of the day two in the Victorian State Etchells Championships, and very fortunately Matt Johnson's been able to join us. He sails on Fu Manchu. I really like your shirt, Matt. It's a beautiful shirt, but it's got something pretty impressive on the back of it. Let's have a look at that. All right, that's about it. So Matt, tell us about your shirt. You've had a bit of success and I think it's an interesting story.
So I spent a little bit over 10 weeks sailing a virtual boat around the world without getting a drop of water on me, and managed to beat 460,000 other punters and get to the finish line first. So
in the Vendée Globe,
in the Vendée Globe,
Vendée Globe virtual race, you are the winner in the world.
That is correct.
And hey, that is pretty cool. So after all of that, being a Vendée Globe, and by the way, how did you get on with the French media when you won it?
Oh, the French media were pretty demanding, doing interviews at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, but yeah, and doing TV interviews sort of in the afternoon with my daughters coming in and saying g'day as well. It was interesting, not being able to understand them, but yeah, there's a lot of bonjour, au revoir, but yeah, that's all I had for them.
So if you've done all this virtual sailing, what is it that brings you to sail with this Etchells fleet? And it's an amazingly skillful fleet. What brings you to Etchells?
I think sailing on the Etchells, you're sailing against the best guys in the world. You've got America's Cup winners, you've got Olympic gold medalists, you've got world champions. And these guys are willing to help you out. They're willing to lend a hand. We had Coco sailors in the New South Wales States, and
Michael Coxon from North Sails.
And you know, he didn't even realise it, but he probably actually helped me win the Vendée Globe. He didn't speak to him about it, but the advice that he offered about things that he'd done in the Hobart and things, the knowledge that these guys have is just, you know, far beyond what the average punter's got.